The church is human and divine. This is a mystery that we need faith to understand, but this is beyond important to remember right now with everything going on. The church is human because the church is the people of God, which is us. And humans are imperfect, except for Jesus and Mary, by Jesus' grace applied to her. Which means there will be imperfections within the people of God. But the church is also divine. She is the spotless bearer of the Holy Spirit, who is forever united to the Son, to the world. Just as Mary is a very amazing prefigurement of the church, because she was the spotless virgin who carried the Holy Spirit in the flesh in her Son and brought him to the world. This is the church, perfect. But the church is also made up of the human element of the people that made within her, the people of God that are also by definition the church, who are imperfect, who needed Jesus just like Mary did to die, who needed Jesus to sanctify them, and who need him to sanctify us now. So you have to keep that in mind when derision is happening and things are falling apart. Don't write off the church. Remember that the people of God need each other and need to keep refining themselves to become and prepare themselves to be worthy of Christ. But also remember, the church is divine as well, and there is an element of her. Just as Christ had these two parallel natures, you couldn't separate them. They were essential together, but they were complete. The church is similar in that she is divine and she is human. And you can't separate one from the other without it falling apart. But that human element, unlike Christ, the human element is flawed because it's made up of us, and we can make mistakes and we can misrepresent her. And we can try to control things too much or not control things enough. And we can make mistakes, but the divine element does not make a mistake. The sacraments are not tainted because the people of God are failing. It's important to keep that in mind. And we'll talk more about the sacraments. There's a whole section of the Catechism dedicated to that. But for right now, just keep in mind that the church has those two elements. Those two elements. And you can't write off the divine nature of the church because the human nature of the church is going through a difficult time. Finally, the church itself is the sacrament of salvation. The catechism, we have a catechism. Pull up the book here, read this directly to you real quick at the end to close here. Catechism 780 says, the church in this world is the sacrament of salvation, the sign and the instrument of the communion of God and men. When we go into church on Sunday or every day, and we receive the Eucharist, we become one with God in a way that we cannot become one with him apart from that sacrament. And that can include spiritual communion, which is, again, something to be talked about later. But the church was designed this way for a reason. The sacraments were designed this way for a reason. This is where we come to be one with God. And this is where God manifests himself to us the most evidently and powerfully. And it is essential for our souls to be there, to be in church, to be receiving all the sacraments within that great sacrament of our salvation that is the church. So don't let anything shake your basic understanding of your need to be there in that church. Yes, the physical building, but it's more than a physical building. We need to be one. We need to be together, and we need to be receiving the sacraments, and we need to be remembering that the divine nature of the church is there. She is forever and always the bride of Christ, no matter what mistakes the people within her are making. And we need to always be trying to bond even closer together and not looking for new ways to tear each other apart.